If you could tell me, what is the White House Correspondents' Dinner Weekend? What's this all about?
Well, it started originally as journalists giving awards to other journalists for great work. And then what happened was they started inviting their sources at the White House. So it was really the only weekend in Washington where you had the entire White House staff, with the president, of course, and the First Lady, the cabinet, all coming together, all in one place. Because what people don't know is, in Washington, most of the time, all the players are not in the same city at the same time. You know, elected members have to go back and forth, senators, the president, everyone's moving around. So you know in that weekend, you're all going to be together. So what happened was the journalists started becoming very competitive about inviting administration folks to come with them as their guests for the dinner, because journalists are competitive. So it was another way to compete. It wasn't just breaking the story. It was who was going to get the White House chief of staff, who was going to get this senator, who was going to get, in recent years at least, who was going to get the most compelling person, the regular person in an extraordinary situation, like Captain Sully, who rescued all those folks when he landed that plane so beautifully in the Hudson River. So he's coming to the dinner. So that's what part of the intrigue. So it's officialdom hanging out with journalists, and journalists trying to prove to each other they can win yet another way.
Now let's talk about the celebrity factor, because in addition to Sully Sullenberger, we have the cast of Gossip Girl, we have American Idol judges, and this year it seems like it has just blown up to Celebrity Fest 2009.
Well, it's interesting. Last year was all about the campaign, where all the candidates tried to collect celebrities along the way to help them get more attention and to help fuel their campaign. And now that President Obama is the biggest rock star in the world, all of these celebrities are lining up this weekend to catch a little of that Obama magic. So that's why you've got bold-faced names who can't find tickets to this dinner, because the dinner itself is only 2,500, I think 2,800 people in one room, very squished together, by the way, very uncomfortable in the room. But all the coverage that takes place till you walk into that room is so extraordinary that you can get a little of that Obama magic, and I think that's what they're looking for this year.
Okay, so we'll see an unusual amount, I think, of coverage on MSNBC is covering it. C-SPAN has a widget watch, and there's just crazy amounts of coverage. What's going on behind the scenes? Because you're an insider, and you know what's happening outside of the cameras.
Well, what's happening right now is everyone's trying to get into the hot Bloomberg Vanity Fair after party. Because it's one thing to finally be one of the 2,500 chosen people to come to the dinner. It's another thing to get the biggest celebrity to come with you, but then you have to prove you're really great by getting into the Vanity Fair Bloomberg party. So right now, while we said, all these people are calling each other saying, can you get me in, can you get me in, am I not in, what's going on? It's really kind of pitiful. It is, that's why Ronald Reagan called this Washington Spring Prom. Because everyone dresses up. And you know, years ago, you would see ladies in crocheted evening gowns with lots of boa. But now, in this modern age, it's much more hot designers. And you see people like Donna Versace was here. Donatella Versace came last year. And everyone's trying to get a piece of the action. Of course, I know we're the center of the universe, so I'm not surprised everyone else wants to do it. See, right now someone's calling me to try to get a ticket to the dinner. Oh, go away. No tickets for you. No, I told you no already. Stop calling me.
Now, I'm sure you're going to the Vanity Fair party. There's no question. You also host this brunch that has also become a big part of the weekend. How did that start?
It started because so many people from Hollywood and New York, all over the country really would come in for this particular weekend. So I thought this is a great way to catch up with friends while they're all there. So we started bringing them together. And actually the first brunch was in honor of someone that used to work with Barbra Streisand, who was from the Creative Artists Agency. So Barbra Streisand actually showed up at the first brunch. And all I have to say is if Barbra Streisand shows up at your event the first time you do it, maybe that's something you ought to continue, right? Everyone knows that. So what's happened is it's become a meeting place before the dinner begins because it's on the day of. What maybe people don't know is, so People magazine is bringing big guests in. And they'll take their guests to the White House during the day before the dinner that night. So there's a whole series of activities that take place, or there'll be VIP tours of various kinds of things for the magazines and newspapers. And again, this is their night. This is the night that it's equal between TV and print because the print people really dominate the proceedings because it's more of their event. Anyway, so they'll go around, they'll take clients various places, advertisers, and they get to schmooze with celebrities. So there's so many meetings on the margin, as they call it at the World Bank, taking place while this main event is Saturday night. And this year, People Magazine is having a big party Friday night. Then on Sunday, John McLaughlin has his brunch. So now it's really like a wedding. It's beyond the spring prom.
And so you have launched a website that's kind of leading up to the weekend, and we'll link to it, of course. Is this going to go on beyond the weekend? Will you keep following the correspondence?
Oh, we will. And the reason we launched the website is last year Bloomberg brought me in to help them with their party. And I discovered that there's no true history of the actual event. People have covered it for years. It's one of the most covered events of Washington, D.C. of the entire year. Yet, there's no history of it. So we put together the history of it, the origination, from the first dinner to this week's dinner, every story that happened, every president who spoke, every comedian, and comedians, we haven't talked about comedians, they have used this space to launch their careers and to move into another sphere. Even Jon Stewart, as great as he is today, his first true foray with this crowd was when he came in and was the comedian for one of the White House Correspondents' Dinner, which, if I have my history right, that I read on WhiteHouseCorrespondentsInsider.com, was 1998, I think it was, or 1999. So for a comedian, this is a real opportunity to take it to a different audience. Of course, it's Wanda Sykes this year.
Great.
And Wanda Sykes, she can be a little blue, but I'll tell you an interesting fact that I learned with our website. She used to work at the National Security Agency. Can you believe that?
No kidding.
So the big question that we want to know at White House Correspondents Insider is, will she tell torture jokes? Who better? She was right there at the NSA. So we'll see what she has to say.
Okay. So on Monday morning, after everything has happened, how will you rate this weekend? What to you is going to spell success for the weekend?
Well, first of all, the president's performance. We haven't spent enough time talking about him either. I mean, it is his weekend. He chose to miss the Gridiron, which is another traditional media political event where the president goes, although that's very private, not on TV. Hey, how about these guys? They're going to do the dinner that you're on TV as opposed to the dinner where you're not on TV. They're very smart at the White House. So this will be the first time, and he can play it straight. He can have a really good time. President Clinton did a very, very funny routine with a comedy director, Phil Rosenthal, from Everybody Loves Raymond, and his last year. And remember the great video of him riding his bike through the halls of the White House, looking around, preparing Hillary's lunch and handing it to her? He had a lot of fun with it. So the question is, will Obama have fun or play it straight?
Okay.
In fact, the director of that famous video did a special piece for us at White House Correspondents Insider, and he said this guy, all he has to go out there and do is smile, because he's got such a great smile. He doesn't even have to try to be funny, and he'll win.